So it crossed my mind the other day that I don't have enough alchemists. I want more transmute cooldowns, and I've seen a lot of videos and people talking about like solo leveling brewmasters just by like soloing dungeons, and I'm like, that can't be the fastest way to do that, right? There's got to be another class. Like, surely DK's faster. So for the last sort of week or so, I've just been seeing like how I can do it. How quick can you level a DK from 55 to 85 by dungeon leveling? So I did it in just under 10 hours with a third character. So I was doing a lot of practice runs with two other characters, and I got to this third character. I'm like, right, I'm going to try and do it all in like one go, all on stream, patch it all together, see how long it takes, and just sort of run through how I've ended up doing it. So I'll put like the actual guide. There's one in the background, like an old version, whilst I was still figuring it out, of a list of like level brackets of doing stuff, of what to do when. I'll put the actual one on screen, so you can see what it ended up being. But basically, I'm just going to run through it with this footage in the background and sort of showed you how I did it. Obviously, this is massively sped up. All in all, it was just under 10 hours of gameplay. I've got it down to about 30 minutes. And just as it's going in the background, I'm just going to run through it. So, obviously, you do the starter zone as you normally do. There's no special skips you can do there. You get to about 59. I must have started this character just after that because I've gone straight into Hellfire Ramparts. So once you're 59, Q specific straight into Ramparts for the Dungeon Finder. This bit's unavoidable. Like, you can try soloing Ramparts yourself, it will just take a really long time. The main reason for that is you can't mass pull before level 64. So the reason for that is at 64 you get improved presence of blood presence, which like makes you crit immune and gives you a shitload of haste on your rune regen, which is really like needed when you're AoE pulling like massively. One of the things I was doing there, obviously I'm forced to use LFD, but I was just went back there to get Cinder Glacier on both my weapons, so I'm running dual wield just for fun because you're not really using Heart Strike, you're not really using Death Strike, you're pretty much just using spells, you're just using Blood Boil. I'll put the talents on screen as well, but basically Chillblains, it's like a 50% slow I think on everything that's affected by Frost Fever, so every time you apply Frost Fever, whether you do it by Pestilence, spreading your dots, because we've also got that Roiling Blood talent or Boiling Blood, whenever you Blood Boil, your dots get reapplied to everything, they spread. That'll apply Chillblains as well, and we've got Conversion. So Conversion is insane because we're not going to be spending our runic power on anything other than health. So we're just going to have Conversion up the whole time, whatever we're doing. When we go solo, that's basically all of our healing. But in the background you see I'm just getting to 64 just by doing LFD. I'm pretty much nearly done, I think. I'm at 62. Yeah. So once I get a little bit closer to 64, you'll see the kind of pulls you can do in the Ramparts. But this is slowing me down like a lot. Like I didn't do a playtime check for this bit, but we were probably like 3.5 hours in by now already, and we're at fucking 62 still. Like it felt awful. This group was a really good group. They kept queuing with me, so I didn't have to sit through the queue. I told them what the idea was. We're just going to smash it out. So we're going to keep spamming with them. But yeah, the whole idea is once you hit 64, you are free off to go and solo. Certain bits are harder than others. I'm just sort of going to run through it as it's in the background and just jump in when there's something to mention. So I've just hit 64. I'm just flying over to Ramparts now, making sure I've got a bit of bag space. And you're going to see you're going to take it pretty slowly at the start. I'm just sort of doing a couple packs. Obviously I die a little bit. It's kind of unavoidable. You just sort of got to get used to how much you can pull and how much you can kill and your health. So basically your whole thing is your health pool. You're trying to make your health pool as big as possible because you've got the Swift Hand of Justice heirloom trinkets on. They give you 2% health back every time you kill something. And conversion, which is 3% health every second at the cost of 5 runic power. So you are basically just trying to pull as much as you can. A lot of your damage is going to be your dots and chunks of blood boil. So obviously Vengeance is now in the game. You get a lot of attack power for being hit. Obviously you see at 64 you are just kind of slamming your head against a brick wall with this. But you just got to pull it slowly, do a couple packs at a time, and as you hit 65 and get more confident with it, it gets so much easier. So at this point I'm pulling half the dungeon into the other half, but it doesn't work out. But as soon as you hit 65, and I think at 66, it gets a lot easier. Something to also note as well is the glyphs to use for this. So at the minute I think I'm using, well, the ones you need, you're going to want the most useful. Glyph of Death Grip, the one that gives you 5 extra yards on your Death Grip range. Glyph of Death and Decay, gives it a 50% slow to everything in it. That helps for a lot of setting up your kite, and just in case Frost Fever drops off stuff. It's really awkward sometimes to stack everything back up and get them slowed again. So Death and Decay Glyph's pretty good for that. And the last one's Glyph of Icy Touch, which turns your Icy Touch into a Purge. So that's not really going to play into any of this at all until Grim Batol at the end, for the last little bit. But it's something to obviously make sure you've got it anyway. What am I doing here? Right, so I've done with Ramparts now. I've hit 68. So I've ported myself to Dalaran, set my Hearthstone there, really slow flying all the way to Howling Fjord. Unavoidable. I couldn't decide if it was faster for me to portal myself to Ironforge and take the boat, but it doesn't matter either way. Obviously, this can be done, like, improved on a lot. Because at some point here I am going to hit Instance Lockout as well. Which, if you do this properly, you're not actually, you shouldn't really hit it. So the thing with this is, I'm still realising things as I'm doing my third character of this, of ways to make it better. So in Utgarde Keep right now, I'm just farming the first room. So I've hit Lockout here, and I'm trying to figure out, because I thought you could queue specific dungeon for Utgarde Keep whilst you are on dungeon cooldown, but you can't. You can queue LFD, and I realise, whilst you're on Lockout, like the random dungeon, sorry. And that works out a lot better to do, obviously, whilst you're not thinking. I've re-logging here because I think it's broken, but it's not. So obviously, whilst I've got a group, I'm just blasting through it, run through the whole lot. There's no reason to stop, as long as your healer's in range of you. You know, I die anyway because the healer's not in range of me. But yeah, just fly through it. So once I get to 70, I think I take a little break, but from then you can start to solo more of the dungeon yourself. So for the majority of this, I'm going to be soloing it all the way up to the end of the dungeon. Obviously skipping bosses. There's probably a little break here, I think. Do I take a break? Yeah. Right. And then we're back at it. Let's see when I start to... I'll jump back in when I start clearing the whole thing. So here I'm starting to clear the drakes as well, because the problem with the drakes is they're not slowable, but they are still very slightly slower than you. So if you keep running, they won't catch up, but you've got to also keep everything else slowed, and there's some ranged mobs and stuff that throw shit at you. So you basically, while you're like 70, you're just going to be slowly clearing this. At this point I think I've gone and got Fallen Crusader on my weapons. Obviously a massive strength proc, because you dot skill with strength as well. So does your Blood Boil, everything scales to spell power, attack power gives you spell power sort of thing. So this is when I start clearing like the whole thing. So I've just hit 71, doing all the trash packs, clearing everything up, and then what you should do here is not kill the boss, because I realise at this point it's not really doable. Obviously when I get like more than halfway through the dungeon, if I die I'll just reset it and start again. You do have a bit of leeway with the lockouts when you're clearing everything like this. I think the first room clears only take you about 90 seconds, but obviously if you're doing all this then you get about 5 minutes in the dungeon, so you will hit lockouts slightly, but only just. And you're going to do this all the way up to about 74. I think, I'm trying to think now, I think I did this all the way to 76 this time. So do it to 76. I think the reason being, on my second character I tried doing it at 74, I've tried moving to Halls of Stone at 74. The problem with that is your chance to miss is actually way too high. So you run into issues. So if you just keep farming this all the way to 76, this is probably the best way to do it. Honestly, it might even be worth just doing up to the second boss, because you can see here from the second boss to the last boss there's only like three packs. There's not that much trash here. And this is the point. I tried solo in the last boss. You get most of the way there, but I did run out of health and just die. So I just reset, and from here on I'm not killing the last boss. So I'm 72 now, starting to pull a little bit more into the second room. Pulling everything up. When you get to the second boss you just got to make sure you hug left if you're not clearing everything and killing it off. Because if the second boss does pull it, it does happen one time here, he does come all the way up. So I'm just making a gear set here, just so I can suicide to the boss and get out quicker. The main rotation really, whenever you pull in these packs, is going to be like Icy Touch, Plague Strike, Blood Boil. You're just basically going to have 2 sets of runes that do those 3 things. And then reset, obviously. But you can see this is like a crazy amount of XP. I'm around 2.5 million XP an hour at 73. Just blasting. Dying a little bit again. Like I say, if you get more than halfway, just reset it. Problem you have sometimes is the stuns. So the Overseers, I think it's the Overseers, they do a charge. You basically just got to kill them off. You can't have too many of them following you, otherwise you'll just get chain charged. The only thing you have to get rid of a charge is obviously Icebound Fortitude. I have done this with humans as well. Being a human DK is a lot safer, really, in most of these dungeons. I've got Gift of the Nara as a Draenei, but it's not needed really. You've got conversions doing more than enough healing. So at this point I have also hit 74 a little while ago. 74 you get Dancing Rune Weapon, which is now your main damage cooldown. That sort of determines when you are able to kill a massive amount of stuff all at once. So that's going to be your timer for when you can set up and kill everything. Later on, mainly in Halls of Lightning and Halls of Stone, and Grim Batol as well. It's massive in Grim Batol. You actually do so much damage while you have Dancing Rune Weapon up because it's duplicating your Blood Boil as well. I think it duplicates your dots as well if you cast it on your target that you put the blade on. But the main thing is your Blood Boil. Your Blood Boil is just going to do a ridiculous amount of damage. At 76 as well, you are going to hit Empower Rune Weapon, which is going to refresh the cooldown on all of your runes on a 5-minute cooldown. That's massive as well, because you can set it up so that you have 4 death runes about to come off cooldown, or you set 4 death runes up, press the button, use your Dancing Rune Weapon, and you just obliterate everything. Like, it's also, you're going to use that with Anti-Magic Shell in Halls of Stone, Halls of Lightning and Grim Batol as your like super defensive, kill everything now quick before I die sort of idea. So Dancing Rune Weapon is massive with Empower. I'm running over to Halls of Stone, and your entire thing is going to be in Halls of Stone, Anti-Magic Shell, and Dancing Rune Weapon. That's going to decide when you can kill stuff. So here, obviously, I'm going to die an absolute shitload at the start because I'm trying to pull too much. But the whole idea, same as the other 2 dungeons, you want an Icy Touch, Plague Strike, start spreading it, and only move on to the next pack. If you're doing big groups, only stack them up when you've got runes ready to put dots up. Here I'm wasting a load of time. So you see I was spending a lot of time in that first little room trying to clear those big giants. What I ended up realising was it's just a lot safer to start with the little stuff first and come back to it. The constructs aren't so bad. It is those big giants because while they're slow, they are slightly slower than you, but not by enough for it to matter. So I'm just sort of slamming my head on this now. I've been 76 for nearly half an hour here, so this was a big waste of time. At this point, I think I start to get the grasp of it now. It is just all Anti-Magic Shell and Dancing Rune Weapon. I had done this with 2 characters before this, but I just haven't retained any of it, apparently, because I'm just running in and fucking dying over and over again. This part is definitely where you start to realise how much healing comes from the Swift Hand of Justice trinket. Because it is in the room with the little shardlings is the main one, because the dwarves are doing a lot of magic damage to you, but you can do a lot of healing just by killing off these little tiny ones that I'm killing here. So you're just sort of saving runes. As soon as you dip low, just drop blood boils and clear everything, and you get so much health back. At this point as well, I've started clearing the back room. These giants are actually worth like double XP of a normal mob. I realised here what you should be doing is pulling them away from that middle structure thing at the end, because that's the thing that buffs them. You can't really tank them while they've got that buff. They'll try chain cast as well, does a lot of damage. It's not really worth fighting them over there, just pull them backwards. Slamming my head against it here again. Trying to get that main big pull done at the start. I'm sort of getting the gist of it. I think the idea is killing those big giants, focusing them down before you worry about any of the rest of the stuff. Here I have a lot of deaths of just over pulling, being a little bit stupid. But here it looks like I get the grasp of it. That looked clean as fuck. Anti-Magic Shell and Dancing Rune Weapon just blasted everything. Trying to stack everything up. This looks clean. So I'm at 78 here, so I have got quite a lot of more health now. Got 18k, quite a lot of healing. Still overpulling, still dying. Yeah, this was frustrating. I think I took a break here. So at this point I'm about to hit 80. One thing to note, obviously at 80 you can just equip a full set of Cataclysm gear, so there is actually a vendor in Hyjal that sells 232 class specific gear, which is great to pick up. What I've done instead is I've got a bunch of stuff off the auction house. Don't know if I've bought it already. Yeah, it looks like I have. Sent it all over. So I've got all this Cataclysm gear now. It's like 280 stuff, just greens, and I'm going into Halls of Lightning. So obviously I've had a massive power spike here, being level 80. So my heirlooms are still level 80, so they're actually not that strong yet. I think the difference in power jump between a level 80 heirloom and a level 81 heirloom is massive, so I will get a lot stronger than this at 81. But that gear is like, give me 50% extra HP. I'm doing the same thing here with these pulls and Halls of Lightning, so I do it this way until 82. So I'm going down the left side, killing everything on there, and then pulling the middle bit to the second boss, blasting it, and then coming back and clearing sort of the right hand side as you're going in on the way out. I don't know if there's anything to mention here. The Sky Callers, the tall guys with the bows, they do have a knockback, so you don't really want to do too many of them at once. I think here I've accidentally pulled the boss. So at 80, it's a little bit of a waste of time to kill the boss. He only gives 20k XP. He's not really worth it. Later on, I do kill him. You'll see. I do change my route a little bit to pull the boss in the first pull, just because at that point you might as well. You're so strong, it's ridiculous. Like you can pull the whole instance if you want to. Yeah, so now you can see I'm 81. My health has gone up by another 50%. It's just insane at this point. So just go through this second pull. So I'm taking the middle platform, running through the slag bit, all the way round to the boss, casting Dancing Rune Weapon on the boss. At 81 you've got Outbreak as well, so you might as well cast Outbreak on the boss. You get double dots, and then you're just blasting everything with Blood Boil and Empower Rune Weapon. Obviously make sure you've got conversion up. You've got a lot of health at this point, so you're healing so much, it's crazy. Like this is basically a joke now, and I'm just rinse and repeat doing the same thing until 82 or 83. I think it's 83. There's a break in here somewhere anyway, because I think I hit lockout. But you'll only hit lockout once doing this. I think from, is this another day? Yeah, this was this morning. Yeah. So now I'm just finishing up. Not much to say here, but you're probably going to see once I hit 82, the route does change, and I just start blitzing the boss, the first boss, with everything, and just change my route a little bit. By this point as well, I've got a level 82 Cataclysm green weapon that I had pre-bought. I don't have my heirlooms upgraded. That's the only reason. I don't think there's any massive benefit to doing it with a Cataclysm weapon straight away. But here I think you're going to start to see, this is where I start killing the first boss in the main pool. You're basically just going to funnel damage into the boss, and do the same with the second boss as well. The second boss does run back to his anvil like every now and then, so you've just sort of got to time your cooldowns with it. You just want to blast him as much as you can. Obviously everything else is just going to die in the blood boil mess. You're so ridiculously strong at this point, like it's a joke. The only mob you got to look at in this first pull where you're pulling the boss is the Menders, because they can cast they cast some buff that like gives the boss fucking 60% of his health back or something stupid. It's ridiculous. So I'm basically just doing the same as the original, but backwards. So I've hit 83 here, just clearing my bags out. One thing I am doing here while I'm doing this is sending all the greens to be disenchanted by my other characters. Obviously we're in MOP pre-patch. The price on everything is just, it's either ridiculously low or ridiculously high. In the background here, I'm just opening up Hyjal because that vendor I mentioned earlier, she has really good trinkets, and I've been using Swift Hand of Justice, which isn't even upgraded to 85, so they're just terrible. So I'm flying over to Grim Batol. The main thing here that you got to sort of shift like the way you're playing to more of a slow damage. Like you're going from using conversion to heal yourself a lot to using a lot of range strike and trying to pump as much damage as you can. So there's two mobs in this, well, three or four mobs in the packs here that are dangerous. So it's the casters that cast the water bolt. I think they're called elementalists. What are they called? Twilight Stormbreaker. So Twilight Stormbreaker, they're going to cast a water bolt. They're your main target. You've got to kill them because the water bolt is it's the hardest of any ability in this dungeon. Like, it's horrendous. The second priority is the Earth Shapers because they do an unavoidable like little earth shock thing pillar. You can ignore basically every other mob. I think they're called the Seers, the Dragon Seers. They're really annoying because they do this this shield cast. It gives the mobs like a lot of health. They just heals. That's the thing that you can purge. So you can purge that, and you can also purge the Earth Shaper's damage reduction shield that he casts on anybody. That's what you're going to be using your Icy Touch to clear. So there you'll have just seen I started using Army of the Dead and doing some bigger pulls. So whilst you've got every cooldown up, you can actually do a ridiculous amount of mobs in these packs. The main thing you've just got to remember is line of sight. So you can, if your Army of the Dead is up, you don't need to worry about anything. You just kill everything. Obviously focus down your Seers as normal, just to get rid of Seers. The three mobs I talked about before, kill those. And the rest of the time you're just playing the same with Anti-Magic Shell, Dancing Rune Weapon, just kiting about. So I still die here, like I'm nearly 84, but this is quite quick. How long was that level? Hold on. That was 40 minutes, including getting there. Like, this is crazy fast. And once you get used to it, It's not even that hard. You're just smashing buttons. There's not really much more to say on it now, to be honest. So this one's nearly done. I'm pulling packs of 2, packs of 3 with army. Clearing up. So in 10 hours on stream I got a DK from 55 to 85. And this is basically going to be how I'm making the army of alts for inscription, alchemy. I'm going to have a couple extra enchanters for like farming dungeons and stuff. Like it's actually insane that you can get this done this quickly without a 50% XP buff. Like, DKs are just fucking broken, man. Like, what is this?